Cool. Should we give it one more minute? People arrive.
Yeah, we'll give it another minute.
All right, cool. Should we get started, guys? Yeah, sweet.
I think so. Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and welcome to Thrive's Lunch and Learn today. My name's Nesson, and today's presentation will be on PowerApps. We are extremely lucky to have both Alex and Dane presenting, with Alex presenting on timesheets and Dane will be presenting on checklists and defects. Take it away, Alex.
Thanks, Ness. So the applications that Dane and I are going to be taking you through today are called PowerApps. So PowerApps are part of Microsoft's Power Platform, which is kind of a bigger part of the Office 365 suite or Microsoft 365 suite. And what PowerApps does is it enables us the ability to create business applications without the development time that's usually required for application development. So we're just going to be showcasing a couple of our examples that we've built for some of our customers. Now, some of these are being used integrated with one of our core products, IPM, which is a project management system based on the Power Platform. But these apps can also be built standalone. So if you're a Sage CRE customer or you use MyOb or Sage Intacct and you need an application predominantly for mobile applications, then generally we can build it. So what you're looking at here is obviously this is a mobile app, so all of this grey space and purple stuff at the top would disappear. What you're going to see on the mobile is just in this little rectangle here. So this is a simple timesheet app that allows people to clock on and off jobs, submit leave requests, and view and edit any of the timesheets that they need to. So you can, the thing about these is that we have a lot of control over how they look, how the buttons work, what's on the screen, what the logic is that's built in. This one was specifically built to just be a really simple area for guys to clock on and off of site, maybe add some allowances, submit leave, and then push those through to my own payroll. So this works, it's obviously I've got my main menu here. If I go into my time clock, it's going to take me to a screen where we've defined this screen and said we need to capture the project, the job task or cost code, and then we can have some free text. So in here, I've got my jobs list from our project management system, but as I said, these can really come from anywhere. So if I choose my Riley Park job, I then just need to choose which cost code am I doing. Now, some customers have requirements that a site supervisor is always on the same cost code, so that kind of business logic can be built in. So let's say in this case, I was doing some asbestos removal. and we were just doing some swims and preparing asbestos equipment. It's always good in these when I can spell. So once I've put in my required information, so my job and my job task, then I can either clock on with the current time, or I can hit my little selector here and I can say, actually, I started at, let's say I started at 6 o'clock this morning. Now, obviously, we're going to capture the system time. So that timesheet that comes in is going to say, well, actually, they changed this time from 12:06 to 6 o'clock. So we've got that kind of, I guess, control in there. So for whoever is approving those, we can see if they've been adjusted correctly or incorrectly. You can see once I've clocked on, then I can't change my job and job task, so I need to clock off. So this entry is obviously really, really simple. So I just need some really basic information, and it's designed to be really easy to use for the guys on site. So some of our customers have a requirement that we capture things like travel time, that we capture breaks separately rather than calculating those. So all of those things are just elements that we define in the implementation process. So if I go back to my main screen, then under my time clock here, I've got leave requests. So here I've got a list view. So obviously I've only got one a current leave request in there at the moment. So it's showing that I'm starting tomorrow and it finishes in a week's time. This one hasn't yet been approved, so I can go in and edit that, maybe withdraw it if I don't need it, or I can come in and add a new leave request. Now these leave types are all defined by your organization. So if you need sick leave, if you need time off in lieu, then we just go and add those leave types, and they all relate to obviously whatever your payroll system is, so that we can then push those through, and the accruals and things are reflected properly. So on my leave type, again, very, very basic. We try to keep these screens free of clutter, so that when you're operating it on a little mobile phone, there's very little information you need to enter. We're just capturing the essentials. So I can come in here and say, I need to submit a leave request starting on the 11th to the 14th. And this one's going to be personal leave. So I can come in and say that I've got, maybe I'm booked in for an operation. It's not how you spell it, but operation, there we go. So then I can submit that. That's going to appear in my pending leave requests, or sorry, in my list of current leave requests. And then when that goes through an approval process, it's just going to update the status here. Now, of course, we can do things like send a notification, send them a text message, or send them an email when that's been approved. And with those approval processes, those are again defined by you. So if timesheets or leave need to go to an employee's manager, or if they need to go to the project manager, or if they need to go to a number of different people, that's just business logic that we write the rules for, so that they go to the relevant people and have the appropriate stops in place. So the only other option on here is just my timesheets. So this is just if I've submitted a timesheet and it had something incorrect on it, I can just go back to that one and say, actually, I started at 8, or I was working on a different project, and then I can just go through and update that timesheet record. Obviously, you can only update a timesheet record if the business rules for your organization say you can. So it might be that until it's approved or until it's been pushed through to payroll, it can be edited, but after that, it's read only. Dane, over to you.
Thanks, Alex. Is there any questions for Alex at this point? No?
I had one from Shane. We saw a user was logged in on their phone to run that timesheet thing. how does that relate back to the, how does the phone number and what they're logging into relate back to the payroll? What ties them up to the payroll system?
So it's their email address. So whether that's an organization email address or a kind of a guest user with their personal email address, that user account is linked up with a payroll employee. So we know that when alex.f@thrivetech is logging a timesheet, it knows that that Alex Fielding is the employee, and that's what gets written into the timesheet.
Okay, thanks. Makes sense.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll move on to my part. Next, we'll be having a look at the checklist. Ness, would you mind setting me as presenter, please?
Yes, just on that now. I think I made you. I think you are a presenter.
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. So what we're looking at first is the checklist app. This is designed to essentially meet any type of paper checklist in your organization and convert it into a digital form. You can see here that we've got a department, so we can break it down into separate departments. In this case, we've got two. We've got the safety department and we've got equipment. The equipment section can be used for pre-starts or servicing, and the safety, it could be like safety audits, take fives, that sort of thing. All done from the one app and all configured in the same area as well. So we'll have a look at equipment first. We're going to have a look at this 833T. You can see there's this scan QR button here. So if I was doing this on a mobile device, I would be able to hit that button. It would activate my camera and I'd be able to scan the QR code on the equipment, and it would populate this field with the 833T. We'll go ahead with that one. You can see there's two checklists here. We've got the dozer pre-start and the dozer ad hoc service. We'll just do the pre-start for now. This message appears because I've got a previous incomplete checklist that I need to make a decision on. So it saves it in the background. You can have one saved checklist at a time. In this case, I'm going to discard it. If I wanted to, I could continue with the saved checklist. So I'll discard the saved checklist and I'll reselect and I'll go in. Now this is the header of the document. So you think of your paper forms, up the top you've got your header and it's got generic equipment about that checklist. Generic information about that checklist. In this case, we've got three header items. There is quite a few of header items we can choose, but in this case, we're just looking at the equipment ID, what job it's on, and the hour meter reading. The hour meter reading can be used to set service schedules as well. And I'll just go next on that. So this is the checklist section. Up the top here, you can see there's this orange triangle. This is for existing faults against this bit of equipment. If I click on that, you can see it brings up the two existing faults. We've got the low coolant level and someone else has entered the same thing. And that'll appear just so the user can see that those faults exist and they don't need to report them again. If we click on the blue bar, it drops down into this section. You can see if I click on the second bar, it'll drop down in that section as well. So in the first section, we've got fluid levels. All these checklist items can be grouped into areas. So we've got the two groups here, fluid levels and inspection items. And then within them, you've got the checklist items. So we're going to check the coolant level. We know it's low, so it's at 10%. We're going to verify there's no oil leaks. Yep, there's no oil leaks. The seatbelt, we're going to say that's passed. But if we're not sure what we're looking for on a seatbelt, we could just click the information and it would pop up with some more information. We've got a bit of a diagram here to say what it looks like and check that the seatbelt is in good working condition. Transmission fluid, pass. Horn, pass. Fire extinguisher present, yes. And the safety inspection date. And then we can complete that checklist. And that's done. So that checklist has been submitted now. And once again, like Alex was explaining before, my username would be associated with that checklist within the database. The next part we'll look at is the safety side of it. So we'll go to the safety department. We've got one category here called personal, but this can all be configured to how you like. We'll click next. And we've got one checklist here for take 5. So we'll open that up. I'm going to do a take 5 on Riley Park upgrade. We're going to say, I'll just say Billy Taylor is going to complete this. Other persons involved. And we're going to repair a leaking pipe on the related swims 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If the weather was connected, we would also see the weather populate here. You don't have to have all these fields. As I said before, we can turn these off if you don't want to see them. So we've got one group in this instance. We'll click on the group. Am I clear on what the task is? Yes. Do I have the required skills and training? Yes. Have I checked and verified the swims action? So in this case, what we've got is in the little eye, we can view a reference document. And if I click on that, it'll actually bring up the related swims. I can also go to a reference URL, so a hyperlink to anywhere you want, and display pictures and videos. So yes, I've checked that, and I've removed and managed all hazards. Yes, complete. And that's a take 5 complete. Any questions on the checklist app?
Another one from Shane. I saw there was a little camera icon on there. Can I take pictures and record them?
Sure. So if we go back in, I'll just jump back into this one. Yes, so there's a little camera icon here. If you're using this on a mobile device and you click that, the camera will activate and you'll be able to take a photo against that line item. It is recorded against this, so it will be noted as the coolant level, and that's what you're taking the photo for. I'll just explain these other two buttons here, which I missed before. So this box here is to add additional comments, and this box here is to create an equipment fault. Does that answer your question, Shane?
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay. The next one we'll move on to is the defect app. So the defect app is used to identify and track defects across a project site. When you first open it up, you'll see a screen like this. These are existing defects that have been entered. The top drop-down box here is the job selection. So you can drop down and select a different job, and it will fill the gallery with that job. In this case, we're going to use Tesla Gigafactory. You notice here that this one says it's overdue. That's because it's past the due date. So if I open that up and scroll down, I can see it was due on February 18 and it hasn't been actioned. It's still in the log status. So I'll create a new defect now. And I'll just say it's downpipe, not connected. So it was identified today, and we'll give it 4 weeks to be repaired. And we're going to say reconnect. I click the update GPS, it'll tag the GPS position. This is used for project sites that have a large area and helps you track that defect within a couple of meters. So if I scroll down, you can see I can attach a file. If I was to open that on a phone, it would activate the camera and I'd be able to take a photo directly. But in this case, I'm just going to drop in an image that I've already got here for the downpipe. I'll click save. Defects added. And you can see here the defect is now added with the 0 kilometers away. This little arrow here points in the direction of the defect when you're using it on a mobile device. That will move in real time and show you which direction the defect is. So instead of walking around site trying to find where this downpipe is, you can just follow the little arrow and it'll take you straight there. I think that's about it. Once you're finished, you can just go back in. You can mark it as rectified. You can also view it on a map. And you click the little pencil up here, you can go and edit the defect as you entered it. So it's kind of a separate screen just so people don't accidentally edit the details. They have to consciously go in and edit that item. There's a delete button, so you can delete it. In this case, we'll just mark it as rectified. We'll say downpipe connected. And we could attach another file here as well of the downpipe actually connected to the stormwater if we wanted to. So I'll mark it as rectified. And that's done. You can see that there is now marked as rectified. Any questions on the defect app? Any questions on anything we've discussed today? Thanks, Ness.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks Dan and thanks Alex, and thanks Shane for your questions. Yeah, thanks for joining.
Have a good day. See you guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.